Good morning and welcome to day 16 of Vlogmas. Today I'm going to do a sock cast on tips video. So I'm hoping I can do this in one take because I have swap outs and I don't want to have to remake them. Before I forget, today I am wearing the Rosemont cardigan by Hannah Fettig. And I've had this for a couple years and I always forget how cozy it is and how much I love it. I knit this back during the all the fade knitting projects craze, and I had a couple of skeins of fingering weight yarn that were similar. I think the top is a Malabrigo. I had 2 skeins of that. The rest I think I had like 1 skein of or 2 skeins of other speckled yarns that were in the same color family. So I held it double with a mohair yarn and just kind of faded the different colors, and then with this the yarn I had 2 skeins of, I did the collar. But it's super cozy, it's super warm. I feel like it looks good with a lot of different things, and I always forget about it. So today I'm wearing it. So yesterday was kind of stressful, so today I am casting on all the socks, make myself feel better. So anyway, so the first one I'm going to do is a yarn jar. I don't know if she's still dyeing this base. I mean, this is a couple years old, but yarn jar. It's a 2-ply fingering in the Reindeer Games colorway. It came with this super cute stitch marker. And my first tip, and this is a Susan B. Anderson tip. I keep hoping she'll start making videos again, but I think her videos are part of the reason why I'm a spinner, because she used to do sweaters and socks and spinning, and I got curious about spinning. I started watching other people about spinning, and then now I've got a whole fleet of spinning wheels. But anyway, one tip I learned from her: if you're doing a self-striping yarn like this and you want them to match, now you could just start it anywhere during a color and just remember start it during the yellow stripe. But if you want to be super precise, you go right to where the colors meet, and that is where you start. So if I was doing a different color cuff, this is where I would put the first stitch. Or if I'm doing long tail cast on, I'm literally just going to put my needle right there and start casting on. And I'm using a 2.5 millimeter for this yarn. It seems a little bit plumper, so I think I can get away with doing that. And I will cast on 64 stitches. Sorry, he's having a good time back there. And I just kind of do the long tail, and I do it all on one needle. And this is anytime I'm using double pointed needles to cast on, rather than fiddle with trying to divide the stitches up onto the different needles as I go, I will just do all on one needle, and I will just keep going. You probably don't want to watch me count 64 stitches, but I will just keep going. The cool thing about doing it this way is you end up with this little decorative edge where you get the color from the previous color on the very top of your sock, which I think is a nice detail. So anyway, so that's how you do the initial step. It's not my first swap out. So this next yarn is, if I can remember which tag ones, go through which one. Okay, this is Homespun House, Christmas Morning Creek's Plump Merino Fingering. I think this was one of the skeins that went with one of her advent calendars. And it's this pretty white with speckles, and it's sparkly and it's really pretty. So anyway, so when you are casting on your long tail cast on, and you have however many stitches you're going to do, you put them all on one needle like this. And there's a couple of advantages to doing this. So once you get them all on one needle, you can make sure you have however many stitches. And then I always come to the back end. So you've got your working yarn, your tail. I always come to the back end and I start pulling my stitches off of that side. So I do 16 stitches on each needle for a 64 stitch sock. And I will just divide them this way and put 16 stitches on each one. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I have a swap pouch for this too. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And I will scooch those down and I just drop the needle. And I'll go to my next needle and I'll pull off 16 more stitches, drop the needle, and so on until I get to the other end. And you'll end up with this. And so you'll end up with something like this. So I have 16 stitches on all of my needles. and they're all divided. Now, the reason why I always start from the end without the yarn is if you mess up your stitch count, which happens all the time, you can fix it. So if I cast on too many stitches, I'll just drop it off the end. Or like on this one, I think I accidentally did 63 stitches. I just add another stitch. So it's really easy to adjust it without having to go on all of your needles and move stitches, which is a pain. And anytime you're fiddling with a circular cast on like this, you always risk twisting a stitch. So anyway, so I can make sure that try this, you can see none of my stitches are twisted. I can see kind of like this neat knit stitch end all the way around. And when I'm ready to join, literally all I do is I zip it. I don't know the non-technical term, but basically I'll take the first needle and pull it around to make the circle, and I will cast on the next stitch. And I always, when I'm joining in the round, I will hold the two ends together and do the first stitch or two. I don't think I talked about this yarn. I'll talk about that in 1 second. But anyway, and I will do the first 2 to 4 stitches, kind of fiddly, sorry. And I'll pull those tight. Let's see. And so if I'm doing like a 2x2 ribbing, I'll knit 2 together. And then I've been purling too as well. My tail's kind of short for that, so I don't know if I can do that or not. But it kind of, I like how it secures the end, and then you don't end up with a weird gap where the end is. Like when you're trying to weave in the end, I find it's a lot more seamless that way. And then you would just knit all the way around. And I always kind of check a couple times and make sure I haven't twisted anything. It's a lot easier to fix it now than to have to start over. But I'll just make sure that I can see like that it has knit stitches all the way around. And then I'll knit all the way around. I don't have a swap out for that. And when I come back around, I'll just make sure that I knit those together. So if I have the 2 strands of yarn, then I just knit them together on the next, so I don't change my stitch count. I feel like I had one more tip to go with that. Oh, the other thing, so if my tail is really long, because sometimes when you're doing a long tail cast on, the other tail will be yarn long, I will immediately kind of wind it off into one of the little finger bobbins. Today is my first day editing a video because my dog started barking right as I finished talking about that first segment, and I was not about to re-record all of that. So anyway, so when you have extra yarn when you're doing the long tail cast on, if you're joining in the round, I always will put the yarn in one of these little bobbins. I'm not sure what the official technical term is for that, because the worst thing is when you're stitching along, if you accidentally grab this and you get partway through a row and run out and you have to go back because you used the wrong end of the yarn. But anyway, I always do that when I have too much of one end. And then I keep these, so I'll keep it till I'm done with the project, because sometimes if you rip out the project, then the yarn is still attached. Or sometimes you might need it if you're fixing something or joining something. And then with the extra bit, I'll just cut it when I weave in my ends. And I save these for like if I'm joining a sweater and you need to put 10 stitches on hold, I'll use this kind of leftover yarn for that, so I don't have to go find yarn. So anyway, so that is that. I'm trying to think what else I was going to talk about. Oh, this yarn I forgot to talk about. So this yarn here, I have lots of ends everywhere. So this beautiful skein of yarn is a homespun house from her 2018 advent calendar, and it's Christmas at the House of Black, and it's a superwash merino nylon plump merino fingering base. So kind of need to see how her tags change over time. And a lot of times when I skein up a yarn, I will roll it in a circle and put it in the middle, but since I'm talking about the yarns, I'll just put them in my notions bag so I can have those handy. The other thing I did before I forget, 2 more things, is I decided on my color palette for next year's Advent socks. I'm going to do a stash dive. I'm going to record when I do it, but since I was starting these socks today, I decided to bobbin them up before I start. So I'm doing a kind of like a vintage Christmas color scheme next year with pinks and greens and reds and creams, and all of these seem to match that. This is from a pair of socks that I have in my work in progress basket. These are all homespun house, different bases and stuff. So I thought that these would all go with the color palette I'm going with. So I decided to just bobbin them up now. And then when I go into my stash, I can find 21 other colors to go with it. And I'll do another video because I have a plan. I'm going to do them differently next year. might change my mind, but I have a plan. I saw a picture of something I really liked. Oh, let me talk about these white ones. I have all these things that I get distracted. So for this white pair of socks, I am going to do this. So I see it doesn't have as much of a glare. I'm going to do these socks. I liked, if you can see or not, the yellow pair where it has like an elongated ribbing, and then it switches to plain stockinette in the back and along the foot, and it keeps the ribbing going down. I've never seen anything like that, so I kind of like how that looks. So that's going to be for the white pair here. I feel like that'll be really delicate and classic. This one is just going to be a plain vanilla sock. I feel like it'll be really pretty. I'll probably focus on these two because this is such a Christmas color. I want to try to get as much of this done as I can before Christmas, because some of these that are kind of Christmassy, I feel like I wouldn't mind stitching on after the holiday, but I feel like the most Christmassy should get worked on first. And then I think this one, I'm going to do a Hermione's Everyday Sock is my plan. Although who knows, I might change my mind as I start, but that's the plan. And then before I wash these and wrap them, I finished this pair of socks. And these will be a gift for a friend. And so I will put that in her family's gift package as I get that put together. And this is, I don't have the ball band, but this is just a pair of Regia self-striping socks. Just a really nice workhorse yarn. It'll be her first hand knit pair of socks. So it's machine washable and dryable. Like a lot of these socks, the German sock yarns, you can put them all the way through. A lot of times I will air dry them. I'll put them through the washing machine and then just like drape them over the side of my laundry basket to dry. But if they go through the dryer, it's fine too. So anyway, I thought that she would like these, and it's kind of her colors. And I have a ton of yarn left, so that'll probably go in a stripy blanket unless I decide to make scrappy socks or socks for my kiddo. But anyway, that is my video for today. I'm going to be editing for the first time. How exciting. And then I'm hoping to do some other videos. I want to do another update on my Melly Knits Advent Spin, and I don't know, just do a couple other quick videos, knitting related, crochet related between now and Christmas. And I will do some more cross stitch and quilting after Christmas is my plan. Anyway, thank you so much for watching and casting on some socks with me, and I'll have some updates on what these look like in a couple days.